The Olympics?
They have it.
You better believe it, they do. Race walking
in the Olympics?
is an Olympic
For
sport.
years.
Really?
Since 1908, race walking has been an Olympic sport. And race walking is such an easy way that anybody can do it. If you're a brand new person to exercise, you can learn race walking. If you've been running for years and years, you can learn the techniques of race walking that will enhance your walking workout as well.
So raise your glass, even though he's not the best, but at least he made the top 5.
Welcome to another edition of Lanai Gossip. I'm your host, number 5. Co-hosting today is Lonnie. Thank you, Lonnie.
You betcha.
And back with us, she wasn't Thriller, if you remember that video, is Bonnie. Thank you, Bonnie, for showing up.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, how long have you been race walking personally yourself?
Personally, myself, this is my 38th year of race walking. I got into it as an injured runner. I had torn the meniscus in my right knee, and a doctor suggested to me that instead of surgery 38 years ago, a long time ago, he said, why don't you just stop running for a while and let's see if it heals? Because back then I was so devastated to be walking instead of running. And I thought, I'll just do this temporarily. But an interesting thing happened. A year went by. One, I ended up losing 9 more pounds race walking than I had when I was running, which was my whole intention of getting into running way back then. And the second thing, even more exciting, was a whole year went by and I never, ever got injured that year. Now, that had never happened before. I was injured all the time.
Okay, so now how can somebody get involved in the villages like Lonnie and I that have never race walked? Do you need to go to the academy?
That's right. I teach in the Enrichment Academy. And the beginning race walking class is 6 weeks, where once a week, we meet once a week with each class. There's a instructional component in class. There's a lecture part of the class where we take topics that pertain to race walking specifically or to something about fitness in general. For example, how to find your proper walking rate is part of class. Your pace that's right for you, that gives you the workout that you're looking for. That's part of the class too. And then every single class I teach a different walking technique. Every week we take the body apart and we do a different walking technique for every single body part. So like what your arms should do when you're race walking, what your feet do when you're race walking, what your body posture does when you're race walking. So we add that on once a week. And then every single class has practice where the students are walking at the proper pace for them and I'm watching them and fixing it up a little bit if need be. And then every single class has a stretching component in it, which we do after class, teaching people 6 walking stretches that go along with walking that can help keep you flexible. If you think you can walk a mile, you are ready to take a beginning race walking class. If you want to up your walking to a level that gives you aerobic benefits, that's the perfect class for you to start with. It's a class that teaches you technique, not necessarily to race. I don't encourage people to race unless they want to. That's the thing about the word race walking. People get a little bit freaked out about that class. But the reality is race walking has nothing to do with racing. It only has to do with the technique. And then if you want to race, you can race. But if you want to just use it for your fitness benefits, to enhance your walking fitness benefits, that's perfectly fine too. Now that's the middle level class. This afternoon, I happen to teach a class that's a lower level than that called Walk Better, Move Better, Feel Better.
Okay.
And that class is for people who just want to help their balance, help their posture, help their never tripping and falling. Learn the techniques, and we use the same Olympic race walking techniques, but instead of teaching your body how to go faster, I don't emphasize the exercise component at all in this class. This class is really for, kind of a super entry level walker, people who are not necessarily exercise walking, but maybe would like to sometime in the future. And then the next level of class is a class for people who have finished the beginning race walking class and are ready to move on to the next level And maybe they want to race, maybe they don't, it doesn't matter. They want to learn how to walk faster and get more benefits. That's the beauty of race walking. And then there's also the people that love the fact that they can do it on their own. There's so many here in the villages. There's so many options for getting together with people and having some fun exercise. Some people love the idea that race walking is something you don't need a partner. You can have a partner. If you have 40 minutes and you don't want to go to a class, you can always get your aerobic exercise in every single day.
Tell us about the speeds again that race walking. So, like, how what's race walking? What's an average per mile? Because you were a runner, and we talked about that earlier. You gave us like the guy who ran or race walked a mile in 5 something. Yeah. So, talk to us about when you're race walking. What's a good pace, and if someone wants to watch it time wise, tell us about those times.
For an average villager.
Yeah, for an average
I'm
villager.
glad you asked that question because I like to tell people not to time themselves.
Really? Okay.
And not to go by time. Because what does this feel like? Does this feel too easy? If it feels easy, it might be your warm-up pace, which is a good pace to be aware of, your warm-up exercise pace. If it feels comfortable, you might be in your number 6, that's 60% of max heart rate. If it feels challenging but not hard, you're in your number 7. And then after you get that feeling, then it's a good time later to look at your watch and see, wow, what was my heart rate when I was
Interesting.
matching up? So I'm very much into exercise by feeling, which we call perceived exertion, because anybody can do it.
You said you guys walk every night after dinner.
An hour.
So do you race walk or you just go for a casual walk?
Great question. And although I race walk every day, at night, my husband and I, most nights, do what we call our after dinner Disney World walk. Why is that so important? Because if you can just do a little bit of walking every single time you eat after you're eating, I'm not talking about aerobic walking, bringing your heart rate and your breathing up, but a little bit of walking after every single meal, especially after your biggest meal, which is dinner for most people, just go out and do a 10-minute walk around the block or up and down the block, and do that every single day, and you will see a tremendous difference in how you feel, how you sleep. These are some of the great health benefits of movement and activity. Just get out and do a little bit of casual walking. But if you walk every day casually, don't expect that to make you more fit.
Okay, so for how long though? Okay, your after dinner walk, your Disney walk.
So
how long do you go
our after-dinner
for?
walk is at least 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yet for my brand new students, I recommend just go out for 10 minutes after dinner. Just
So
if you
go
can get her out.
the Disney walk after dinner, holding hands, and still get a bunch of benefit out of that.
And you're going to get some what we call physical activity benefits,
Yeah.
movement benefits.
Yes.
Now, I want to make sure that people hear that you're not getting what we want from aerobic benefits. Teaching people healthy, fit habits that I hope they'll take with them for the rest of their life in all.
More out of it than just race walking.
Definitely more. And in fact, if I have a student who takes a beginning race walking class and uses the techniques that they learned to implement in other activities all around the villages, then I'm happy. Then I feel I've done my job.
Your classes again, you said it's once a week, but which day and times?
So I
And
teach
location.
a class. I teach 6 classes a week.
Okay.
So I teach a different day every week. So they get to pick when they want to take the class. There's classes at Lake Meona. There's classes at Lake Okahumpka Rec Center. There's classes at Riverbend Rec Center. I have a class today at Pimlico. So everybody can pick where is best for them. And then they take that class once a week. Now,
And,
doesn't
and
mean
those
they-
are always at the same time at those different places,
they
or
change
no?
a little bit during
Okay.
the seasons. Like in
Okay.
the winter, the afternoon class is a little bit earlier, and then it goes a little bit later as the weather gets a little warmer.
Okay.
And then I have one beginning race walking class indoors at Eisenhower, and that's every summer. And we do an afternoon class, but it's all indoors. There's 2 official rules of race walking that differentiate race walking from anything else. Now, many of my students are not caring about the 2 official rules of race walking. They want the techniques of race walking so they can make their walking workout better. However, if you ever chose to get into a real official race walk event, then you would have to comply with the 2 official rules of race walking. One rule is that 1 foot must be on the ground at all times. Now, that rule is easy. The second rule is a little bit trickier, and that rule differentiates race walking from regular walking. That rule says that the knee of the advancing foot must be completely straight as soon as that heel is planted until it passes through the vertical support phase. So I typically don't talk about that rule at first because it confuses people.
About that every step.
Yeah, and I don't want people to do that. By the time they learn that rule at the end of my class, most of them are already legal race walkers because I've taught them techniques throughout that help them make that rule easy for themselves. Which brings us to the senior games here in the villages. There is an opportunity for race walkers in the villages to compete if they choose to. Remember, probably 90% of my students are just race walking for fitness and using the techniques to enhance their walking workout. However, there's probably about 10% of race walkers who like the idea of competition. And if you do, there is that opportunity here in the villages in the senior games, where we do have a race walk event in the senior games.
Can I race walk in flip-flops?
Good question, because it allows
Finally.
me to say one of the classes of the 6-week class is to teach you how to find perfect shoes for you. Flip-flops would not be your best choice to race walk. That initially you do not buy your shoes online, initially at least, that you buy them in a good sport-specific store that can help you find a perfect shoe and allow you to try on a number of different shoes so that you're not only tied to one brand, because even if one brand worked for you in the past, brands change a lot, and so that brand may not be the perfect shoe for you anymore, but you want to try on some different brands.
Well, thank you very much, Bonnie, for showing up at Lanai Gossip. Thanks, Lonnie.
If you are watching this, hit the like button, please, and subscribe.
Thanks to him, we've got the best league to play in. It's not a boast, just a toast to number 5.